Newcastle United to get a result like that.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I thought that Newcastle United today didn't play anywhere near as well, particularly in the first and middle thirds, as they did against Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. But it's what they did in the last third that counted, and I thought they were absolutely brilliant up front. Wilson is making all the difference in the world. He brings other players to life, and Almiron on the right hand side, instead of running to the corner flags, which he was doing for ages, all of a sudden with Wilson in the middle, Wilson becomes a focal point and Almiron starts getting in the box, and again he scored goals. So Wilson seems to be bringing all of the forward line to life, and that looks absolutely terrific. I have to say that Brentford, they gave the back four a bit of a chasing today, and things didn't look quite right. I wish I'd kept his mouth shut at lunchtime when I mentioned Byrne and how well he had been doing, because I think he had a bit of a nightmare today. And generally, other than Trippier, I thought the rest of the back four didn't look right at all. But nevertheless, they were 3 excellent points. Newcastle in the top 6 right now, and looking good for it. And so, yeah, it's all coming together, I think.
Definitely is. Bruno, we didn't talk about him pre-match, but we're definitely going to talk about him post-match. We missed him massively when he's out of the team, and today, 2 goals, but it didn't tell the full story. What a performance from Bruno.
Yeah, he was absolutely terrific today, and Brentford really couldn't cope with him, he was just bringing everybody into the game. I thought he was absolutely terrific, and of course, when you think that he's sort of looking to play from that defensive midfield position, he actually keeps sneaking forward, getting into great scoring positions, and they're finding him with the ball, and he finishes. I thought the strike from outside the box was absolutely superb. You know, I always say that a keeper should never get beat on his near post, but the actual strike was so good that the keeper really didn't have much of a chance at all. Yes, he was absolutely terrific, and I think he was well supported. There were other good performances to be had as well from that midfield. So what happened up front, what happened in the middle, I was absolutely delighted with today. Where the problems were, if there were problems, it was at the back.
Malcolm, on NUFC Matters on YouTube, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Malcolm's on every Thursday with Gibbo. You've been very critical of Nicky Almiron, but that's back-to-back 2 good performances from him.
Oh, excellent, and I'm absolutely delighted, and I'm quite happy to congratulate him and say well done. And he's turning negativity into positivity simply because he's now, instead of running to the corner flag all the while, he's actually looking to come inside and get into the penalty area, and he's getting crosses in, he's getting shots in, which he hasn't been doing in the earlier part of the season. And for heaven's sake, what he's achieved in these last 2 games is absolutely fabulous. Keep doing that, and Isaac is going to be scratching his head on the sideline saying, well, how do I get into this side?
You were a number 9 for Newcastle, a legend, and a legend for England as well. Still the only man to score 5 goals in 1 game for England versus Cyprus at Wembley. How disappointed will Callum Wilson be feeling tonight Newcastle scoring 5 goals and him not getting one?
Yes, a goal scorer is always disappointed every time he comes off the pitch and hasn't scored. But nevertheless, his contribution was immense today, I thought. Absolutely immense. And he worked like a Trojan. He chased and harried their back line. But also, he just has that ability to bring other players into play all of the time. And if you remember back to Murphy's goal, what he did, what Wilson did, was absolutely fabulous. It was beautiful to watch. The way that he's just dropped his left shoulder, sent the defender the wrong way, and been able to square it for a very, very simple Murphy goal. And I thought Murphy did pretty well today, but Wilson, he's making an awful lot actually happen up front now, where it was all firing blanks. All of a sudden now, we're creating danger. And it doesn't surprise me we scored 5 goals. It does surprise me we only conceded 1.
Newcastle sitting in 5th place. We were talking pre-match about where you think Newcastle will be in 12 months' time. Looking at the current form, looking at the results now, looking at the squad today, looking at the bench, we had ASM coming on for Bruno going off. We've got another transfer window coming in January where Newcastle will definitely be active. We talked at the start of the season about where you think we could finish. We were saying, as long as we're not in a relegation battle, that's great. Give us a prediction now about where you think Newcastle could finish this season. We're sitting 5th tonight.
Yeah, I don't think Europe is impossible at all. I think it is a real possibility. Whether or not the club could be ready next season for Champions League, I'm really not sure on that. But the Europa Cup, why not? It's all great experience. We've got further team improvements to be made over Christmas, through January, I mean. And then there's also next summer as well. And so, yeah, a taste of Europe would be absolutely fabulous. There is a huge amount of improvement yet to be made, but it can't all come in a bum's rush. And the manager and his coaches, they're working and they're bringing the players on. And I see us going from one strength to another, and the improvements are happening all over the pitch throughout the side. So yeah, it's all going in the right direction. There are still a lot of things yet to do, and I think there's other players yet to come in.
38 games Eddie Howe has had in charge of Newcastle. We started with Brentford, we've ended with Brentford. 3-3 draw, and now a 5-1 win. He's come a long way, and in the form table, Newcastle, before today's game, over that 38-game period, which is how long a season is, Newcastle were 5th. We're sitting 5th tonight. How good a job has Eddie Howe done?
I think he's been absolutely superb. I really do. And he keeps a lot of things very close to his chest. He's not somebody who talks too much in any way. And he and his coaches, you can see all of the work that they have been doing with the goalkeeper, with the defence, with the midfield, and with the forward line. And it's all starting to come to fruition. There is still a long way to go, but I have every confidence in Eddie Howe and his coaches to keep that improvement coming along all of the while, And I can only feel absolute excitement of where we're going to be in 3 or 4 years' time. And I think that there's a whole lot of fear all the way through the Premiership as to what Newcastle can achieve in the near future.
Okay, do you want to ask a question?
Can Eddie Howe get top 4?
Can Eddie Howe get top 4?
Yes, not yet though. Not yet. It's going to take a while.
Not Newcastle, Eddie Howe. Not Newcastle, Eddie Howe specifically.
Sorry, Eddie Howe.
Specific, not Newcastle as a club, him as the manager. Can he get him?
Top 4 of what?
Yeah.
Of the yeah, but
They don't do themselves.
He can only be looked upon for what he achieves at a club. And what he's achieving right now at Newcastle, that's fine. That's absolutely super. There's improvement after improvement after improvement happening in the side. So yes, yeah. Oh, not only can he get into the top 4, but in time, if he really puts his mind to it, I have no doubt whatsoever that he could finish absolutely top of the pile.
Okay, go on, mate.
You don't want the club to outgrow Eddie Howe, which is a possibility.
Outgrowing Eddie Howe, is that a possibility? That's what the guy's saying. So, is there going to be a potential in the future where they're going to look at a bigger manager?
As long as Eddie Howe keeps bringing improvement and eventually success, there's no need to look elsewhere. And what he's doing is absolutely excellent. And for heaven's sake, don't start having doubts now about a manager who is just bringing constant improvement. Think about what he's actually achieved over the last 12 months. It really has gone from utter misery to joy so far. And it will keep going in that direction, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a little surprise for Malcolm, because we do a podcast called NUFC Matters on YouTube every week, and there's a guy called Dodo Bird who bought a jacket in the place called the Boutique, which was a shop that Malcolm had in the 1970s in Newcastle, and he bought a leather jacket, Malcolm, and the arms fell off. Now he hasn't come back for a refund, he's actually come back to present you with something. It's not the leather jacket. Dodo Bird, give him a round of applause. He's coming on stage left. Now you've got to go on the mic, Dodo Bird. I don't know how confident you are.
I'm not very confident. They are, but can you explain what it is?
Hello, Malcolm. Well, it was 45 years ago. Malcolm McDonald had a very fashionable boutique in Newcastle. And I was very young at the time. And I went in because Malcolm was a very fashionable person. I wanted a jacket just like this. So I went in, I found one. Perfect it was. And half price, I thought you can't go wrong. So I put this jacket on, and I had to say to Malcolm, it's a little bit tight, don't you think? And he said to me, no, it looks perfect, that's fine. And leather stretches anyway. And I thought, well, that would do for me. So I live at Hexham. I did live at Hexham. So on the way home, I thought I'd give the jacket a bit of a stretch. It split in half. And I thought, what am I going to do? Well, I went back home, and my family's farmers, and he gave me his phone number. I thought, well, I better give him a ring. And I thought at the time, Malcolm McDonald, honest to God, what a player he was. What a player. One of the best strikers in the world, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you people here look very, very young, but I'm nearly 68 years old now, and I remember everything that Malcolm McDonald did. And you know what, when Malcolm McDonald went on the pitch, this was the mantra that I always had in my mind. When Malcolm McDonald was playing, you know you had every chance to win the game. No matter if it's who it was. You knew, and all the fans knew that. That's how good he was. The quickest thing on two legs. I've never seen anything like it. So when I got on the phone, I was talking to Malcolm McDonald. I couldn't believe it. And we live in a farmhouse, all my brothers. They play football, and they love Newcastle United. And when I was on the phone, the number of people that started to queue up in the hallway, listening to what I was saying to Malcolm McDonald, you wouldn't believe. In the end, there was about 20 people in my hallway. That was my brother's farm workers, my mum and my dad, they loved there, because I was talking to Malcolm McDonald.
That's great. So, what have you got? What have you done for Malcolm?
Simply Malcolm, what I've done, I've marked the occasion with a little cartoon I've drawn myself, which I've drawn myself, Malcolm. And, it is an award. It is an award, Malcolm. And an appreciation for everything that you've done. I thank you for that, Malcolm. It's been a pleasure watching you play football. You're a great guy. Thank you very much, Malcolm.
Put your hands together for Bruno Guimaraes. It's not easy getting on the mic. But please keep your applause going for Malcolm McDonald, who is a living legend.